seems like each year coming in the spring, you guys maybe have a little extra motivation based on how last season ended, whether it was one game shy in 23 and 24, or maybe that defeat to the Astros in 22. How does last year compare, coming so close to the World Series, and what kind of feelings do you guys have as you get started here in camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think you turn the page essentially. Each year is different. It's going to bring different challenges, different opportunities. So, um, you know, obviously we're all hurt from last year, but take that and use it as fuel for this upcoming year. But essentially, you got to turn the page and start fresh. And the climb up the mountain starts in these next coming days with everybody coming in full camp. So it's a long season. We know that, and we know where we want to get to. And obviously, getting that experience last year was great, but it's gonna be a new year with new challenges. So we're looking forward to just starting that up here.
What does that postseason experience give you guys, especially since you have such a core group and many of you are pretty much all back here?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get everybody have a little bit of postseason experience, it's gonna help. It's gonna help people understand what it takes, what you need to do to get there, and what it's gonna be like when you are there. So, I think to us, it's just not being satisfied. Knowing that we want to get to the top of that mountain, and we want to see what it's all about, and not trying to take anything for granted, or just trying to get there per se. So
Is it different in years past? You guys would say we're good enough to win the division, or we have these sites full set. Now everybody's saying, like everybody outside of the. Is it different now in that way, that the perception of who you guys are versus what you guys have always believed?
yeah, I think this first couple of years it was we're just trying to get we're trying to set the record straight. We're trying to get to the playoffs. We're trying to prove that we can to make it there, and I feel like we've done that, and now we're setting the standard higher, and our expectations higher, which it's not a bad thing. We still got to come out and play, and that's how it's going to be determined. But we want to be a perennial team where we're making the playoffs is just an afterthought in a way. We want to be there every year. We want to be competing for World Series, winning World Series, and that's the expectation we want to have.
Is it different? Dan, you mentioned that the core group of guys that are on this team have all kind of come through the system and played together. You've added some outside pieces that are older, like Donovan, Josh Naylor comes in. It seems like there's a maturity and like an understanding that you guys are good. It's not just enough that you guys believe you're good when you walk out on the field. Hey, we're this team. Do you feel that maturity, that sense of professionalism almost?
Yeah, I mean, kind of get that sense from everybody in the clubhouse that it's we want to win. We want to we know we can get there. Our expectations are high. Our goals are high, and guys are kind of we're saying the right things. We want to go win. We want to do all these things. We're not just hoping. We know we're good. We know we have a lot of talent on the team, and it's that being said, it's never going to be easy, obviously, but those are the kind of the goals and expectations that we've set for ourselves, and that's how we want to be, and I think that's what good teams do is you get to a point where you have to have those goals and expectations, and knowing what to do from there is going to be super important.
Now, when you have a year like you did personally, I mean, where do you go from there? Is it just a matter of kind of like maintain that, like find a field that allowed you to kind of do that, or is there a different goal kind of you take going into this year? Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of to me, it's just like it's like another year. You leave it in the past. It was a great year, and you look back on it, and you're very appreciative of everything that happened, and it was a lot of crazy, a lot of different things going on, but you take it for what it's worth, and you look back, you enjoy it, but knowing that this year is going to be a different year, new challenges, kind of the same thing I was saying there. So you flush it, and you just try to go do the same thing. You try to have good at bats, focus more on the process, pitch to pitch, rather than trying to chase a number or try to chase a stat line or something like that. So I think that's kind of how I'm approaching it.
Is there something specific about how you kind of prepared your body for being able to kind of handle that, especially when you're going through, you know, October and not just a 162 game season that you will be taking this year?
Yeah, I mean, I start prepping, in the off season every year, and I try to come into camp ready to go, and to me, it's just about, prepping your body and your mind, and that just takes months and months to do that. So I think really after the new year, you really start going even harder than you were before, and you try to get as strong as possible, durable as possible, and you really need to get games under your belt. So I think that was a big point of emphasis over the last couple of years for me personally, was I need to get out there and play. I need to get my body in that shape so that no surprises, no little things pop up. I mean, obviously they are. It's a long season, but the more consistent I can stay in my prep and things like that, the better I'll be overall. So.
So WBC coming in as man. So what's your motivation and passion for the WBC?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Anytime you get a chance to play for your country, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'd never gotten the opportunity to do that. So it was obviously a no-brainer when they asked, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited, obviously, to try to win the whole thing and put the USA on top would be amazing, and then to get to spend the time with those guys and be in a clubhouse with so many great players is going to be really amazing as well.
What's your impression about the team Japan?
They won it last time, so I'm sure they're pretty good again.
John, you typically always gotten down here early, and you got the plays here and everything, but how does the preparation for this spring maybe differ compared to years past, given that you are getting ready to go to the WBC?
Yeah, I think you just start everything earlier, the process, and I think maybe the games, instead of starting maybe at 3 innings or 4 innings, you start at 5. So that's something I've talked about with the trainers and Dan as well. Just starting the innings a little higher, and I started catching a little earlier this off season. I just got my first lives in yesterday, which typically wouldn't come for a few more days. So it's really just starting everything earlier in a sense.
Do you have an idea of how many games or at bats you want to get before you take off for the WBC?
Yeah, it's a combination of being smart and also getting your reps. So we're gonna have like a little 4 or 5 day period where we have some reps and practice and games with USA, but most of that is going to come from each guy and their team and everything. So, and I've talked with Dan, and they're good with getting me as many reps as I can. And with all that being said, it's going to be more about who's hot at the time, because you don't have a whole season. You have a couple pool games, and when you get there, you don't have a whole lot of time to work on stuff. So it's going to be about who's ready to go and who's got the hot hand. So
I think the finals of the last WBC got a lot of people excited. You had Otani versus Trout and all that. How much did watching that make you do this, or do you think you would have wanted to kind of run the same concept?
yeah, I think every person dreams of getting to play for their country, and I think it was in 23. Is that right? Yeah, I was watching. I mean, you come home after spring and turn the games on, and lots of fun to watch, and there's a lot of good teams out there. It's crazy. I think they've done a really good job of getting a lot of people involved, and obviously it's a global event, so it's going to be great for the game, and there's going to be lots of fun matchups, and it'll be a lot of fun to be a part of.
How happy were you for Gabe? I mean, this is a guy that's grinded through. He was, DFA once, and he gets to pitch for Team USA. I mean, Rose even talked about facing Otani. I mean, you could be catching, and Gabe could be pitching, and you guys could be playing. I mean, how excited are you for him for that opportunity?
Yeah, Gabe has worked really hard to get where he's at, and he's seen a lot of ups and downs in his careers and in his career, and it's well deserved. He's earned this, right, and it's going to be great for him, and he's obviously a really tough lefty-lefty matchup. So I've seen it firsthand, and he looks good so far in bullpens. I've caught him up in Seattle before FanFest, and got to catch one of his bullpens here. So he's looking good, looking ready, and obviously obviously well deserved for him getting this nod.
Last year you came in and you wanted to work on your right-handed side, get a ton of right-handed bats. You mentioned during the season you wanted to check in on your framing metrics because they had gone down a little bit with the change in strength. So what things do you look at this offseason? I'm going to attack this during the offseason. I'm going to attack this during spring training.
Yeah, I mean, you're always looking at parts of your game, and to me, it's just, I think from the catching side of it, talking with guys, trying to understand, where the game's going, and I think with ABS, there's just a lot of uncertainty with what's going on. So, I think the big thing for me is not necessarily trying to go out there and steal a bunch of strikes from the receiving side of it, but just keep strikes, because it's going to be understanding the strike zone, and it's just going to take reps. You're going to have to, I've been checking in on bullpens, just asking them certain pitches that I think are close, like is that a strike or ball, and more data is going to come out, each week with guys who are good at challenging, who are not good at challenging, where your hot and cold zones are of where you think a strike is a strike, and so it's going to be interesting, and it's just going to take reps. It's going to take time. Last year we got a little taste of it in spring training, so to me it seems like last year the top of the zone was smaller than what it had been in the past, but they're doing measurements now, so I don't necessarily, it's just going to be about figuring out where that measurement goes to on guys. Is it going to be their knees to their belt? Is it going to be a little higher? Obviously, you're going to have to know that stuff because you're going to know who's in the box, a tall guy versus a short guy. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. But overall, kind of to get back to your question, the receiving side of it, it's just going to be keeping strikes, trying to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a bad place with that, and I think that's a big thing for me on the receiving side.
What about the offensive side? Anything? I know you like every year you say I want to cut down strikeouts and do some other stuff, but what things do you think?
I think it's just just being even better in situations, driving in runners. I think to me, just want to be the best that I can, understand the situations of games, and try to put our team in the best situation possible. If that takes moving a runner, giving up a bat, doing that, and obviously you're always looking to cut down on some certain things. But to me, just being consistent and trying to stay within myself. It's all about it's kind of a battle with yourself every year. You are obviously battling the pitcher, and it's a one-on-one matchup, but ultimately it comes down to a lot of like self-discipline in the box and trusting what you're doing, and really just trying to do that all year. And you're, like I said, it's just a constant battle with yourself, getting to that spot and knowing that if you do that over 162, that you'll probably be where you want to be at the end of the day. So.
How much of a step forward did you feel like you took as a situational hitter last year? I mean, I don't know point to the 60 homers, but the in-betweens, a lot of the stuff you were just talking about now.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important, and I think the guys here help me out a lot. Seitzer, Edgar, Bobby, they do a great job of keeping everybody in the tracks. Not letting them stray too far, and understand that, hitting it's so hard, but at the same time, it's very simple. I think that's hard for a lot of people to grasp. It's very hard to commit and trust and do those things in the box, and to be uncomfortable in the box doing things, especially in tough situations. So the simpler we can make it, the better we're going to be. And I think those guys do a great job kind of, relaying that to us as hitters. The simpler we can keep it, typically the better we're going to be in those big spots, those situations with runners on. And those are what count, especially, with 2 outs in games, things like that, late in games. And I think that's why last year we took a step forward. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm from Japan. Nice to meet you. My name is Ken Sugiya.
How's it going?
I'm glad to be here. She's translator.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Thank you. So we're broadcasting all-star teams. It's too early to talk about now, but there's so many fans. in Japan of yours. So could you tell us what kind of play you can show to fans in Japan and what your performance they can expect to see?
Yeah, I mean, typically I'm switch hitting catcher, and I guess I'm pretty strong from both sides of the plate. I try to, obviously put my defense first over my hitting, and I try to take care of our staff. So, but yeah, try to win every ball game I can, and appreciate there being some fans over there. It's pretty cool.
And what are the impressions of Japan?
My impressions?
Yes.
I've never been there, so maybe one day I'll get a chance to go over there. I heard the food's really good, so we'll see. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to head over there.
Can we see your home runs?
I'm sorry?
Can we see your home runs on big hits?
Yeah, I think so.
And Cal, I know you talked about that Super Bowl experience a little, but like, what did you take from that?
I mean, honestly, it was great to watch that team. They were unbelievable. And I talked about it the other day, those guys had a great season. They were fun to watch, and just listening to, Coach McDonald, week after week, kind of preaching the same thing, consistency and what they're trying to do each and every week, and it paid off. Those guys bought in, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Get that buy-in and get to where they were. So they're champs for a reason, and we're going to try to follow that up. So.
How exciting is it for the city to have both of these teams doing something they haven't in a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was a great year for Seattle sports. We want to just try to keep that rolling. They got a good thing going over there. They won a couple Super Bowls, and obviously we had FanFest about a week or two before that Super Bowl happened. So people are excited. They want a winner. Seattle fans have they love their sports teams there, especially when they're doing well. So they're a great crowd to play in front of, and we're just trying to give them more of that and something that we think they deserve. So.
Cal, you got some new pitchers you got Farrar. I know you caught Kate Anderson the other day. I mean, what are your impressions of some of the guys you've caught? I mean, I'm sure you've seen Ryan Sloan pitch. I don't know if you've caught him yet, but what are because some of these guys are going to have to help you at some point.
Yeah, I mean, give credit to this organization. They just keep getting these big time arms. They're finding ways to keep putting them out there. So, getting Ferrer is going to be a huge add. It's going to take a lot of pressure off Gabe, I think. Gabe ate a lot of innings last year for us. That was, he was asked a lot last year as the only lefty in the bullpen. And I think, having Ferrer here is gonna help him tremendously. It's gonna keep both guys fresh. It's gonna give us opportunities to shoot them maybe a couple times when needed. You want not having just that one bullet of that lefty. So having some depth there is gonna be huge. And then obviously those younger guys they're really talented. Sloan he's a big kid. He's massive. That's a man's body right there. So he's got really good mechanics though. I caught him, and ball comes out clean. It's easy. He can really move the ball around too. I think in a time where a lot of guys are just kind of chucking. He actually has good feel for where his fastball is going, from what I could tell, and caught Anderson the other day as well. Try to catch some of these young guys just to at least get in my mind what I'm seeing. So obviously he was third pick overall for a reason. Nothing really coming out of his hand is bad at all. And you add that to being a power lefty. That's not a lot of guys in the league like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing, their development over the next couple of years or a couple months maybe. So we'll see where that takes them.
You kind of have the standard, you guys have set a standard for preparation. It's not the expectations, like the standard.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be between those two young kids on the mound, and you see Colt and some of these younger guys that come in. They seem to be a little more mature and understanding what what you guys believe in. Like they walk in there, you're not having to tell them, hey, you got to do this. They seem very dialed into the intent of what you guys want to do.
Yeah, I think it's just, we're trying to, set the standard within the organization. Knowing that, these are things that you have to do to prep yourself, and we're trying to get people prepared for the big leagues, even though it's in a way impossible to prepare somebody for that because you just don't know until you get there. But we want to make these guys feel comfortable. We want them to know that we are looking forward to seeing them because we know that they're going to get their chance at some point. We need them to be successful to be a good team in this league. It's not just guys that are there right now. So it's hard though. It's hard coming up, and there's always a little bit of that learning curve in a way. So we're trying to shorten that as much as we can. And to me, it's just about guys in that room who we were in those spots a couple of years ago. It feels like not that long ago. So we're trying to help them out as much as we can, and ultimately we're trying to win games. So we need those guys to be successful to be part of this. So yeah.
One more thing about the WBC. So the Team USA has a post game and a Rokan Web, Taicho Screwball. It's also Team Japan has a Yamamoto, Yusei Kikuchi. Both teams have like an all-star level, maybe all-star level, the pitching staff. So as a catcher, so what's your evaluation for both teams, like a pitching?
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of good pitchers. Obviously, it's always a little more difficult for pitchers to play in the WBC because of ramping up and arms and where they're at and how many innings they threw. So, you see a lot more of the hitters coming to do it, but there's gonna be lots of good pitchers, lots of good arms. Obviously, Japan's gonna be very good. DR, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Mexico's good as well. So it's gonna be difficult, but we're looking forward to seeing all those guys out there. It'll be good for the game.
What do you think about the Yamamoto?
I mean, he's really good. Is he in the WBC this year?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's really good. What he did last year in the World Series was very impressive. So he's a good pitcher. Yeah.
Did you want to catch Scooble? Are you excited to catch Scooble? I mean, you had to face him a little bit.
I'll probably be more excited to catch him than facing him. So I'm excited. I'm honestly excited to catch all the guys. Obviously I don't know to what extent, some guys don't maybe want to give all their secrets away, but in a way, we're going to try to be on the same page the best we can because we're going to be, trying to win the whole thing. So I'm excited to just kind of chat with them, try to maybe see what they do differently than maybe we do here, and maybe that's something I could add to our staff or something I can bring that's new to the table. So I'm excited to get to talk to all those guys. It's going to be pretty quick, though, with those short couple days and then heading out there.